Once again.
Once again.
You're live?
Think so.
Should be live, I guess.
Hello, guys. Anybody here? Yes? Just type in the chat if you can hear us. Want to make sure that the audio is okay. There's a few people in here. Hello?
Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, guys. You can hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, let us know if we need to turn up the volume of the mic a notch or something.
Yep, good. Okay. Cool. We'll wait a couple of minutes. We just shot out a message on Telegram, so we'll wait a few minutes to see if anybody. Okay, great. Thanks, Robert. We'll wait to see if anybody else joins, just for a couple of minutes. But this session will be recorded in any instance, so we'll be able to go back. You'll be able to go back through it at any time. We also put up a Reddit page as well for some of the questions. Obviously, some of the subscribers from the US are probably going to be able to won't be able to attend this. So we've got a whole bunch of questions on there that have just come through. We're going to try our best to keep this to 45 minutes. I know I've got a bad track record of keeping time on these things. Last time I think we went through about an hour and a half. So let's do our best we'll try to get to the point for every question. Okay. Awesome. I've also got Leonard Neo here. You would have known him from most of our research reports. So I'll let Leonard do a quick introduction about himself as well.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Leonard here. So the reports that you guys have been seeing, most of the analysis is done by myself and the team as well. A little bit about my background. I came from the traditional space, back in the banking days, doing in the capital markets, doing FX trading as well as debt capital markets and equity capital markets. And after that, took a step into crypto in 2016, where I met as well. And then, everything went smooth. I heard his vision, all that, to me to jump on board Astronaut and provide a value here. That's where I am right now. So, yep.
Cool. Okay, and hopefully you know myself, Matt Dibb, CIO of Astronaut Capital. And I think it's about time we kick it off. We'll try to aim to finish at about 7 p.m. We are in Singapore, a lovely Singapore day, 80% humidity, raining as usual, and hot. So let's start. Now, feel free to post some questions on the right-hand side or in the chat. We'll get to those. We've also got quite a few on Reddit that we're going to go through. So we'll sort of go in between. We'll start with Reddit, given that we don't have anything yet in the chat. And we'll go from there. But feel free to put any feedback into the chat in the window there, okay? So the first question we've got is, how do you feel about the TAS exit, which is token as a service? And what would be the conditions for you to consider an exit of the Astro fund? It's a good question. And to be honest, we don't want to talk too much about TAS because, yes, we know of them. We understand. We've looked at their investments. We launched only a few months after they did, in fact. And, they took I suppose, in somewhat a similar approach to us in terms of a tokenized vehicle. And I think they had a little bit of a different mandate in terms of what they were trading. Now, my understanding is that they announced that they were shutting up shop only very recently. And yeah, I mean, for us, we looked into it a bit. We understand that they've got still some assets under management, be it cash, a lot of ICOs, etc. For the reasons, I don't really understand the reason as to why they are exiting the fund and redeeming on behalf of all investors. What I can tell you from our side is that an exit for Astro would come at a time in which we would believe that the money, or I should say assets under management, are better in the hands of the subscribers. And what I mean by that is that currently, if we look at our portfolio, we've still got about 60%, anywhere between 50 and 60% at a time of our assets that are liquid. And by that, I mean we can actually trade them. And then the remainder of them is still, locked into either ICOs or pre-ICOs or private sales, etc. We don't see a need right now to close the fund in any respect. We believe that we're about to go through quite a large uplift in the crypto markets, and for that reason, with really diligent management, we should be able to capitalize on that significantly. So I think that TAS throwing in the towel is probably not a great time. I think they could have done very well for investors, in the coming months and years. So it's a bit of a shame, but to answer your question, I don't think that we consider a exit of the Astro Fund anytime soon. If we were to, it would certainly be a decision that we wouldn't take lightly. We would obviously inform and get feedback from all of our subscribers and investors as well. So, that has been raised quite a few times with us, but we don't see it as something that we really need to focus on right now because it's certainly not coming in the near term. Okay, next question. What do we have, Leonard?
So next question is, how does the current team look like? How many people, how much time involvement per person, full-time staff, and the core team, and what are we working on? I think that's of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so. With regards to the current personnel that we've got on board, we've got a investment committee, which consists of 4 people, but we've actually added one. So we've got an announcement to put out in the coming weeks about somebody that's just joined, which has been great. Also from a research background, and you'd probably know them quite well.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we've got 2 full-time analysts as well as myself. So all in all, with regards to the size of the team, with admin, we're looking at about 7 people. In terms of, you've also asked about other projects. The projects that we're strictly working on is Astronaut, of course, Piccolo Research, and more recently STO rating as well. So you would have seen that basically as an offshoot to Piccolo Research, we've launched storating.com, as well as a weekly newsletter, which is the STO debrief. And that simply for us, I mean, we believe that the security token market, it's extremely early in every respect. I think there's a lot of talk about what's happening, but it is very, very early as to the stage that it's in. We're not seeing a lot of capital raised in it, but we simply are looking to just get ahead of the ball. And we're wanting to ensure that if that market does lift at some point in time, then we are there with the research ready and the brand ready to be able to penetrate that market. So that's really the full circle of all the projects that we're working on. So we're strictly asset management and we're strictly research.
Yeah, I'll take the question on.
Okay, so we've got a question from Miko. Matt, what do you think is better for the Astro Fund for long term, QOQ, which is quarter on quarter, or high watermark, and why? Really good question. So, we were with the community. We sort of went through sort of a session recently with regards to what the community thinks about the payment of dividends, be it via quarter on quarter in terms of performance. So if one quarter is higher than the last quarter, then dividends are paid, as opposed to waiting for the capital or the AUM to reach a higher limit, which was previous. Now, the way that we wrote the white paper, which in some respects was vague with regards to that, it was somewhat intended to be the high watermark. However, in the way that it was published, it could be misconstrued that it was quarter on quarter. So we looked at obviously the community consensus, which it's you guys that assist us in operationally deciding what happens with the fund, and given the feedback, we adapted to the quarter on quarter of the two. What we found is that there wasn't actually too much difference, given that a large portion of the funds from a dividend distribution or a period of good performance is actually reinvested back in. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Now, if we were to go through a prolonged bear market, or let's say a sideways market where we're always paying out small dividends, we would at some point see depletion of the fund if the market was then to go down. It would be very hard to recover from that. But given the situation that we're in and sort of our analysis, we don't see an issue with quarter on quarter. And hence why, as a executive team, we looked at that and we said, well, in change, it's not really a change given the way that the white paper was made, but by adapting to that process, we can still see a lot of benefits. So we didn't see any issues with that. So to answer your question, quarter on quarter for the time being is perfectly fine. If we did have a strong recommendation that it should change, we'd obviously put forward a vote to the community. Okay. Okay. Next question from Reddit.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a few from Go Carter. Astro seems to be doing very little investing on a quarterly basis. He says, while I agree quantity is by no means preferable to quality, there doesn't seem to be a shortage of good projects out there either, ? I'll start with that. We've got about a four-part question here. That's it. Look, it's a good question. I think what we need to look at is the reason that we set up Astronaut. And obviously the market has changed quite significantly. Initially coming into this as well with Piccolo Research, our focus was on ICOs and fundamental research from that. And over time, if you've been reading our publication, you will notice that the shift from ICOs and research has gradually gone to secondary ICOs. We haven't seen that many. And because of that, we still have the methodology. Our methodology of investing is really investing into growth. And we don't see a strict need to be churning trades all the time. We did do a bit of hedging last year during the downturn in the market, but that was really the extent of it. We are still holding quite a few smaller caps. And I say, outside of the top 20, top 30, top 50. And we're still holding them simply because we believe that they are still undervalued. So if you say that there's quite a bit that we could be doing in terms of new projects or good projects, there is a lot out there. There's no doubt about that. But what we have seen as well is a lot of the growth, a lot of the volume, and a lot of the liquidity is still coming from that top 20, top 30. And we don't want to discount that fact, because a lot of the smaller cap coins are getting a couple $100,000 a day or even less in some instances. And we don't want to get caught in that trap by looking at the green numbers every day, and not realizing the fact that, well, liquidity is extremely low, and it's more often than not a one-time event that you see those big pumps. So it's not a method of trading that we really want to stick to. We prefer to look at things fundamentally and on a growth basis. If we're holding things for 3, 6, 9, or even 12 months, we're fine with that. If we're looking to get into a small cap because we think it's going to pump for 2 weeks, that's not really the investment methodology that we have or any value providing to the market. So that's sort of the way that we see that. I agree there hasn't been much turnover in terms of trades, simply because we feel that we haven't needed to. There are some tokens within our portfolio that we would love to rise with a bit of liquidity as well, and we'll probably swap them out in full transparency. But at the moment, the base in which we have, we don't want to be looking at over trading or speculating on things just for the short term either. We still look at this fundamentally as a growth play.
Yep. Okay, so next question, it's same person as well. It was my understanding that good long-term projects were very much in focus for Astro. While Quark and Chroma are great, possibly multi-bag, why didn't Astro consider other tier 1 projects, such as Stuckware, Oasis, Coda, Thunder, Redix, Solana, Definity, and so on and so forth, right? So I guess the question is trying to ask what are the main reasons, of not really investing in those projects. First, I would like to say that, a few of them, like Perlin we did invest in, so I guess that's out of it. We did a review on Anchor as well, and the review wasn't that great to give us a high conviction in terms of an investment opportunity. And the rest of the projects like Definity, Oasis, Seller, Ocean and stuff, I would say most of them, about 75% of projects, were run through by our analysts. It's just that some of them, when it comes down to the deal structure, either they had a very high lockup in terms of in terms of time horizon, or the valuation of it wasn't suitable for an investment in the actual portfolio as well. So there are certain reasons. It's not that we are not looking at these projects. It's just even though yes, we agree that some projects are really great, it's just opportunity right now doesn't play out as well as compared to maybe other projects that are out there. So yeah, I mean that's probably the reasons why we didn't get into it.
Yeah, there's a lot in there in those examples. Oasis, for example. I mean, the lockup for that was, I think the minimum was at least 12 months, and then it went up to 2 years. And a lot of the other ones that are mentioned there as well. And we did do analysis on a few of those, even issued reports, Seller Network, Anchor, we're in Perlin. So look, I mean, there's going to be reasons that if we're not in something, either we pass on it. There are instances where we literally can't get in. Some private sales back in the day were done before anybody, including research analysts or even some asset managers were even heard about it. Yeah. So that was quite common. End of 2017, early 2018 was a pretty crazy time. I think we can all admit that. So yeah, I mean, look, a very good question that you've got there. And we have invested in a few of those, but there's also a reason why we didn't invest in others. And some of these big raisings, Oasis, for example, with long lockups, I mean, we're not expecting that they're going to do well, once they kick off, at least in terms of pricing. So it's something to consider. Next question we've got, a link question to the above.
High cap reason
is, if it's for the high cap reason, I think we just answered that.
We just answered that. So, okay. Also, strategy related. Astro seems to have good exchange VC connection these days. Why not use these to get access, and swing trade into IEOs and other tokens, right?
I think something I want to put forward is, and a lot of people are talking about IEOs, particularly we're based in Asia, and IEOs are the hype right now. I personally, and I think many others take the view, I don't think the IEO mania is going to last. I think that the offering of IEOs is going to be extremely diluted very soon, with more and more exchanges doing them. Obviously, Binance started this trend and very successfully at that. Remember that IEOs are raising only between 3 to 5 million. That's pocket change in comparison to what ICOs were raising. The other thing to consider is that most IEOs are only allowing a $3,000 contribution per cap, per person. So, what an IEO effectively is an ability for a project that has probably already raised some money to get that, we call it market spread or retail spread. So they've already raised, for example, 15 million. And what they're via private investors, and it might be 200 private investors or 100 or 50, whatever it might be. And they need another 2,000 to 3,000 investors to create that liquidity. And an IEO does that for them. Now, the difficult part about an IEO is that the private investors more or less get screwed. And that is because any IEO that has launched, that has taken private investment before, are generally imposing lockups on those private investors for anywhere between 12 months and 2 years, even though the rest of the market, being the retail market, is getting liquidity. So we've had that situation with Multivac. That just listed, and it's up. I think it went up 2x plus on the first day. But unfortunately, those who committed very early to the deal, who should be the ones that are winning, unfortunately they're not. So the IEO, as we see it, is really just a retail ploy just to bring in some short-term pumps and liquidity. And unfortunately, it's very hard for any sizable investor to be able to benefit from that. So I think we had a few questions around IEOs, and I just wanted to clarify that, because unless you're buying into it, and trading it after the fact, once it's listed, maybe there's some opportunity there to speculate. But in terms of getting into IEOs, you need to be lucky that you were already in it maybe 6 months ago from the private sale, which we have been in a few. And and then you're obviously locked in for quite some time as well. So it's a very difficult situation in the IEO world, but we're not expecting that to last too long, in our personal opinion.
Yep. Is there a question on
Kinesis
YouTube?
money? Yeah.
Okay, have you looked at Kinesis money?
Have we looked at that one yet?
No, to be honest, I haven't looked at it. If you have more information, you can just drop in the link or something to our email or on Telegram as well. And yeah, we can take a look at it.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of questions that came out with regards to our holdings of staking tokens, right? Like NEO, SNX, and stuff. So yeah, let's answer that. So one of the main questions that was asked, I think not just on Reddit but throughout the whole community on Telegram, is like, why aren't we staking tokens, or putting out the gas tokens for NEO on the portfolio and stuff. So to answer this, yes, we do know that NEO, the holdings of NEO do provide some gas. It's just that we haven't really look and haven't really claimed those gas tokens. Rest assured that is in our portfolio.
Yeah.
We are looking to update it in the next quarterly report. And apologies for missing out in the past quarterly reports on that. But yes, we are doing something about that. For
Synthetics is the
SNX,
same. So
yeah.
we're quite close with the guys at formerly Haven, now Synthetics, Kane and team. So for that also we've pledged to them to also stake synths as well. So in terms of staking, we are doing that. Keep in mind that fee pools are like very small at the moment. So we're not expecting anything huge out of that. And I think that, that's part of the reason why we haven't always reported, because it's going to be very small, but we totally understand that it's something that should be in there, even if it is just a few $1,000s. So we'll seek to put that in the next report as well. Any of the staking tokens.
Yeah, to add on to that, we've been speaking to the team at SNX. We are finalizing some stuff, based on our queries, because we have some questions and some technical issues with regards to technical questions with regards to the staking for them. They're helping us with it, which is great. And once that is done, I think we are able to fully stake our SNX tokens.
Yeah. Cool. Next question. The
Astro app.
The Astro app. So very briefly, we decided to retire the Astro app recently. A lot of people are asking why. Ultimately, we looked at the usage rates of it, and they weren't that large. Even in the beginning, not many people signed up, and we completely understand that there was problems with it, some bugs. And because of that, the Astro app was initially designed more so for I should say it's a market that was more developed around ICOs and some of the private deals that we're doing. And as that sort of fell away and we became more liquid focused, which we are now, the need for the app became a little less crucial. So what we decided to do was, instead of continue to work on it, is spend our time more so on the portfolio. And right now we're using things like coin tracking as our platform, and we're looking for other ones as well. And I noticed that some of our community have even done some public portfolios, viewer portfolios for us on their websites, and that's great. So we are looking for better options. I think the question was, can we open source it? I think it's pretty hard to open source a specific app, or at least an mobile phone app, given it's got to be lodged on iTunes, etc. We're open to looking at something that's certainly web-based, and I think a lot of people would probably prefer that as well. So we are open to the idea. In terms of providing APIs, etc., it's definitely something that we can look at with regards to our data. So that is a topic that we can chat about. We've got a question there about a masternode for Loki.
Yes. We
haven't looked at a masternode, so we have previously staked Loki as well. Look, we've been re-looking at Loki a lot recently, because they seem to be building
traction.
Yeah, they seem to be building really well. A lot of projects have fallen away, but Loki continues to surprise us. Maybe not in terms of price, but in terms of how innovative they are and what they're leaning towards with regards to sort of their privacy endeavors, I think is really good. So we're taking another look at that in all respects. So we'll let you guys know if it's something that we are considering.
Yep. So I mean, the team has been busy as well. I mean, not our side, but the Loki team. So we want to work with them, find out more about the master nodes and certain questions that we have. And once that is done, we'll update you guys again. Yeah.
Okay. Next questions. I think that's another about IEOs. Okay. Is the Astro team happy with the state of the ICO market at this time? Would you like to see the market go back to the way it was 2 years ago, or is the current market, i.e. less ICOs, a better investment environment? Look, it's a hard one. Look, I think in some respects, everybody very much enjoyed the activity around ICOs in 2017, 2018, early 2018. And would we like to see similar activity in the market? Absolutely. Would we like to see as many projects or the quality of projects that there was back then? Probably not. I think that the market is getting much more mature. I think that there will be another innovative funding mechanism that comes out for startup projects, given that it's not ICOs right now. There are some ICOs raising, surprisingly, and some big ones at that we are still looking at. So we're not discounting them whatsoever. But it's not as easy as people writing a white paper and putting up a landing page and raising 30 million anymore. So in that respect, I think it's somewhat of a good thing. And so, where do we sort of see it going at the moment? I think that the STO part, as I said, it's very early for that, very, very early. For initial coin offerings, we still see some projects with serious utility being viable and raising money, and hopefully we'll be releasing a report on a Korean one soon that we've been looking at for some time and is raising some significant money as a utility token and ICO, and we think is going to do very well. So it's not to say that it's gone, it's just that only quality projects are really able to raise. And so is it a bad thing? Not necessarily, but would we like to see the same level of activity and enthusiasm that there was 2 years ago? For sure. Okay, next question we have is, which of the tokens are currently in the portfolio is the team most bullish on? Does the team think is undervalued and upside potential? There's a few. One of my favorites recently that I quite like has been Brave. BAT. Yeah, I think Brave copped a lot last year for not having any utility for their token. If you remember, they raised a bunch of money and they came out with a browser, and everybody said, "So what? Why did you need a token for that?" And you'll see, I think today that just went live and previously in testing and beta was their ads platform for tokens. So you can go onto your browser, and if you like to look at advertisements, nobody likes to, but if you will, then you're going to earn BAT. And I mean, we see this as a really cool use case. I mean, earning $20 to $30 a month, it may not be a lot for people, but in some geographies, that is decent money. So we're in terms of the utility of that token, we're really impressed as to what's happened. That would probably be my favorite.
For me, I would say I'm a huge proponent of Binance BNB. I mean, fundamentally they are strong. That's the reason why we are looking at it so closely. Especially with the recent announcements that they've made in the last quarter or just this year alone, it's been immense. But again, having said that, I think for the whole portfolio, it's always better to be diversified. We're not just looking just to hold 5-10 tokens. You want to make it. You want to have a decent amount of tokens inside that could provide natural hedging, as well as certain alpha if, let's say, a particular small cap token rise in value. So that's what we're looking at as well. So not just the top major secondary tokens that are out there, but when some of the ICO tokens that we've invested in the past comes to fruition, those projects could actually do well in the market as well. So yeah, I mean, I think we just, to be fair, yeah, we do have some favorites, but
Yeah.
we shouldn't just skip to those few. Yeah.
Okay, we'll power through more questions. There's still a lot to
Yeah.
get through.
There's some questions.
Next one, yeah, we'll get to those in 1
Okay.
second. There's still unissued tokens. So we're holding, well, the question is, there's still unissued tokens. Is the team considering selling
I
some?
think he's referring to Astro tokens.
Yeah,
Astro,
so we have Astro tokens that are in foundation that are there to sell for the injection of more capital. We are seeking to, however, where it's all about timing. Essentially, we are looking for a better time in the market so that we'll see more demand for them as well. If we were to flood the market with Astro tokens now, number one, we'll probably get them at a lower, would be bringing in money at a lower price when we believe that we'll be able to bring in money at a higher price per Astro. And that in turn will benefit investors, increasing the fund size, etc. We don't want to sell them at a low price. And obviously that ties into that, which I've seen other questions here, is about liquidity. The liquidity of Astro, and obviously we were taken off CoinMarketCap some time ago because of the lack of liquidity of the token. I think it went through several months, under 10,000 a day. And that's an issue. It's an issue, I think, for all dividend-bearing tokens. People don't really have too much incentive to trade them. And that's the nature of the token. I was mentioning the other day, something I always thought funny was TAS. If you look at their trading on Liqui, I think they were on, I think it was doing $5 million a day volume. And then when Liqui shut down, they were doing $200 a day. So I think you can sort of put, 2 and 2 together as to what was happening. So we also have some initiatives around market making as well. And bringing that volume up, not to tens of millions a day like TAS, but that's something that we're also wanting to implement. But once again, it's about timing the market as well. There's no point doing that in a market that is that's quite low, and when we believe that our token price is undervalued. So rest assured, we've got as much interest as yourselves to provide liquidity and increase the value of the token as well. We're simply waiting for the right time, and I can tell you that we're feeling very optimistic in the market at the moment.
Maybe those guys from TAS to come over. Being optimistic here, but yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay. Yeah, I think another one question that was asked quite a fair bit was the current runway of Astro. Like, I mean, do we have enough to cover the costs and stuff? I think this was asked quite a fair bit in the chat as well. Yeah, what is the plan B if the market does not recover before that time, or investments go sour? So
it's a good question. I mean, ultimately, for the runway of Astro, I've sort of always said this because I think we've had this question a few times. Yeah. In terms of starting out a fund, you take at least a 3-year outlook as an investment manager, that you may not get fees at all. And for that can impact operating costs, etc. So in starting any initiative in asset management, it's really up to the founders to pledge capital to ensure that the fund can run for that amount of time. Now, we've been pretty good with keeping operating costs very low with what we do. You can see we don't hire 50 people. We don't have staff everywhere. We're very selective, and we try to make the best use of our time and the money that's derived from the fund. So to answer your question, our runway for the fund is very good. We don't have any issues with regards to the continuing management of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, rest assured from our perspective, there's no issues there.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. STOs.
Guys, any other questions? Just pop them in the chat as well.
I think we haven't answered that. Yeah, those few, right?
Okay. Jacob has asked, have you thought about opening another closed-ended fund? Look, not for the time being. Look, we've been approached by other groups that have asked us to launch new vehicles, etc. And look, it is something that we've considered. Would it be another closed-ended tokenized fund? I don't think at this point in time. So he's saying that I think Jacob also mentioned that the Hyperion guys have many different funds opening. Okay, I think they're the same guys from C20 or something as well, the index from a while ago. So yeah, Invictus or something like that. Yeah, look, I think certainly for different strategies, it can make sense at times. It's not something that we've looked at in terms of a new tokenized vehicle or anything like that for retail. So yeah, to answer your question, not at the moment.
Yeah, for tokenized one.
Cool.
The one page thing, industrial publicity, blah blah blah. How about the marketing one? Yeah. I think there's one question about marketing and content exposure as well that ask about content marketing should be extra strengths in both in terms of exposure and positioning itself as an expert influencer, yet it's producing very little content. Okay, you're saying that at the beginning, Piccolo was very active. It grew exponentially after Astro was launched, but it kind of went opposite. In I guess probably thereafter, and even though we launched STO rating, but it's too little. So, could we comment on that? Yeah,
I think if you look at 2017, 2018, particularly, the whole media segment and research segment, I think that it's changed quite a bit. And I think anybody could have been an influencer back then. What our real aim for research, in particular Piccolo research, we've been running for quite a while now. When you consider the likes of all the other influencers, your Ian Bellinas, etc. We see them as sort of come and go. They'll likely have a shelf life, and we don't believe that they're here for the long run. Now, in terms of our aim, we want to still be around in 5 years, writing research and continuing to do the same. And so, whilst marketing is a great effort for sure, it's also something that we don't want to do at the expense of doing good quality research either. So, in answer to your question, yes, there's certain things that we can do, I suppose, to have more of an influence, but we also don't want to, jeopardize our image either of being independent and going out there and shilling coins and doing dodgy deals with other ICOs or anything like that. So it's really important from our perspective, and I think even the greater funds perspective, that we maintain that integrity. But look, I mean, there's obviously certain partnerships that we have that we've had and we've made to be able to expand reach, and our database continues to grow to this day, which is very different to a lot of other companies that we know of, particularly in the research and media space, which are losing a lot of subscribers. So we see that as a good thing, and it's a bit slowly but surely, I suppose, for us, but. That's sort of the way that we sort of see the research and the influencer environment now.
Yep.
A couple of questions on here, asking about
token.
Outlook for Trust token. Yeah. Interesting one. I mean, we were one of the first investors in Trust token, even before I think Horowitz and a whole bunch of other VCs came in. So we got in at a really good price very early. Still hasn't listed.
Yep.
To our knowledge, they're getting ready for token distribution, Trust token, and they're sort of been waiting because they're based in the US, and we've had this feedback from a lot of US ICOs that still lock people up. They're still waiting for some of the larger ICOs that previously happened, like think your Filecoins, etc., to finally distribute to see what the SEC says. So a lot of them have been scared of that. So we've got higher hopes of Trust token. Obviously, the company has grown. I say company because it somewhat is, but the environment for stablecoins has grown a lot, particularly US dollar backed, and they've got more or less an unblemished track record with regards to transparency. So we'll be finding out more about the distribution of that soon. But I think it's certainly one of our better holdings, and we've got really high hopes for it. Crypto Wiser has asked about IEOs and STOs. I think we already covered a fair bit of that, and getting into IEOs through OTC deals. Look, honestly, we're offered quite a bit of OTC deals, even SAFT agreements that have been previously bought. So someone was mentioning before things like Oasis, etc. We're offered a lot of those. The difference is that we can get into them, sure, but we're not going to find liquidity, particularly if there is an IEO. It's almost definite that we won't have liquidity for at least a year, maybe two. So we're pretty conscious of that because we don't want to tie up all of our liquid capital into illiquid assets. And while some of these projects might sound really good, and a lot of people are hoping for 200x in a few years, it just might not be the case. So we want to ensure that we don't find ourselves in a position where all of a sudden 95% of our fund is in locked up SAFs and we've got nothing to actually trade the market with. So it's a big consideration for us.
Okay, next. Are you looking to buy tokens on the secondary market, such as Hedera, Thunder?
Yeah.
We're always looking at it. Right. Secondary tokens, as long as they're undervalued, back to the main fund mandate. Fundamentally, if they look good and has the potential, we definitely grab them. But again, back to the deal structure and back to the deal that that who are the sellers are and what kind of deal we're going to get from there. That probably is a concern to us right now. So yeah, they're definitely looking at the secondary market.
So we've also got a comment there. Is there any plans to take leverage on holding crypto? I'd say the only asset we'd do that for is probably ETH or BTC. And we wouldn't go above 10 to 15 times leverage on that. We do see it. It is certainly something that we've been preparing for. I think a lot of people are talking about it at the moment. Well, Bitcoin's gone from 3.32, 3.3 up to now around the mid 5. So bear market's over. We're very cautiously optimistic. Don't get me wrong. So I think we are getting out of the woods. But any technical analyst that's looking longer term than the last month will know that we still are technically in a bear market. I hate to say that. It's sort of it's the word that everybody hates, but if you're looking at a longer term time frame of the last year or two, we are still in a downtrend. And so we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. As I said, we're cautiously optimistic. And we want to ensure that we're not going to get hurt in going leveraged long and getting stopped out or anything like that. So we are quite conservative in that regard, and we don't mind missing out on a few percent just to feel a little bit more secure in what we're doing.
Yep.
Okay.
A couple more questions. I think that's all for Reddit. It's just more like
okay, cool. YouTube. We've got about just under 10 minutes left, guys. So please put through any questions that you've got.
Okay.
We've got questions.
By Miko, right?
Yeah.
What about Haven and REP, right?
Well, Haven's now synthetics, SNX, so we're still holding that.
Yep. REP, yes, we did sold it in the last quarter. Of course, if there is a buying opportunity for them, they're in a prediction market, right? We will come in. We buy them again.
Yeah. To be fair, REP hasn't seen a lot of usage on their DApp. So if you one thing we like to look at is dapradar.com, and if you have a look at the actual usage of some of these, such as REP, you'll notice it's pretty low. So we're not bearish on it. We were holding it. But it sort of felt like a buy the rumor, sell the fact. Once it launched, and
it was a great exit opportunity.
It was a good exit opportunity. We decided to get out when we could. So unless something changes fundamentally, I think we'll probably stay out of it. But we'll see. Yeah.
Right.
Are we able to earn interest of up to 6-7% on holding TUSD with lending platforms until we use them for investing purposes? Yeah. Look, they're well. Do you mean the current TUSD being held, not the trust token? Look, most of the funds that are in a stable coin right now, they're on the sidelines so that we can deploy it when we see fit, particularly into whether it's straight cryptocurrency or leveraged, etc. So we don't. I get the concept of lending, I really do, but I think honestly, with any counterparty risk, etc., it's not really worth the time for 6 to 7%. And I get that a lot of people are doing it, and in fact, there's even funds that are focused on it. But we would prefer to be able to instantly deploy that capital if we need to. So yeah, it's not something that we've been looking at right now.
Yeah, but we think the opportunities surpass the cost at the moment for lending markets. And I've mentioned in the chat as well that they, with regards to lending, is that we still don't see it as a good timing and opportunity to enter it right now. It's still too early to say. And Matt has mentioned again, right? Counterparty risk is one significant aspect of the credit. Basically, accumulate back into tokens, and and hold them in the portfolio rather than entering the lending market. But in the future, if there is a chance that the lending markets start to really pick up and mature a little bit more, we might consider it.
Yeah. Comment, not sure that agree that content marketing and putting yourself out there would be necessarily compromise the quality of your research. I totally agree with you. I think it's a matter of how we do it. And we don't want to go out there and spray guns or anything like that. We're more about building solid partnerships for distribution of that. And so, remember is that's somewhat going to get easier as well. The ecosystem itself has contracted a lot. And because of that, a lot of players are out. There's not that many funds around anymore. A lot of them have closed down. A lot of media companies aren't even doing much anymore, research companies included. So we're actually finding, in some respects, that we're rising from that point of view. But we do also have some marketing efforts and partnerships that are coming up that we're hoping will boost that. So there's a few things that we've got at bay that we'll be able to do for those influential purposes that you mentioned.
All right.
Any other questions, guys? Anything? Okay.
I mean, if you have any other questions or if you missed this video, you can always put it on the chat. We'll try our best to reply to that and answer it there.
Okay, last question we've got there. What are the plans on target industry investing? Target industry. Trying to
I think you mean like sectors.
What themes?
Is it?
Yeah.
Themes?
I think personally the market is extremely thematic. We went through a DApp stage, we went through a protocol stage, etc. So this year it's a little bit all over the place. I think it's more so being split up into methods of fundraising rather than themes. It's your sort of the STOs, IEOs, ICOs, and to be fair, there's not an exceptional amount happening in any of them. I think most of the interest at the moment is in trading on any liquid coins that are already on the exchange. So I think people have gone back to not so much the primary market hype, which is IPOs and ICOs. They've instead moved over to looking at fundamentally what is on the board on the top 100 market cap now and what is undervalued. And so we see that as as sort of a large part of it and the focus. I think within that, obviously people are looking still at protocols that, everyone's trying to create the next Ethereum, and BNB might be that. Exchange tokens are doing very well because of the way that they've designed them around staking and lottery. Think Binance. They've killed it. And then obviously some privacy coins, etc., are still doing quite well. So there's a few themes within that that we're certainly looking at. I think protocols are certainly the most speculative and prone to probably the biggest price increases, but also decreases as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to restrict ourselves, to certain sectors. In a sense, we are quite open, as in we invest in. Mainly, we are fundamentally driven, right? So as long as the token value does provide, that shows fundamental strength. Okay, it's a good opportunity for us to enter as well, especially if the price is right. So that's what we're looking at. Like what Matt's mentioned, especially the top 100 coins, projects that have ICO in 2017, early 2018, that has really gone through huge technical developments, but yet they are way underpriced. I think that's where the value is right now.
Yeah. Last question to cap it off. Are you looking into market making or arb? Look, we're not market makers ourselves, and we're not arb traders either.
Yeah.
Look, we talk with probably some of the larger ones in all of Asia that are doing most of the volume, and we can tell you that it's certainly getting a lot harder. There used to be a very easy way to make money from arbitrage, to the point where you could almost do it manually and redeem money from one exchange and go and buy BTC on the other. And that spread has gotten a lot tighter. So for us ourselves, we don't see it as, we don't believe that we should be spending time on that. It's not our profession, and it's not what we've done previously. We're more taking a fundamental view on a lot of our investments. We do know other firms that are doing it with some success. Keep in mind that they're a market neutral strategy. So tying up capital in something like arbitrage and market making, it's going to give you a few solid % per month, but you're also going to be sacrificing that in a bull market that is, returning up to, let's say, even 10% a month or 8% a month. So, market neutral is great for diversification. I wouldn't say that our fund is large enough for that dedicated diversification into a market neutral strategy right now.
Yep. Okay, we just go on to the rest on Telegram.
Yeah. I think that's. I think we'll be repeating ourselves a little bit here if we continue answering them.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been a great 45, 50 minutes. Thanks very much for listening to us. I know it's been a while since we've done an AMA. And it's great to see everybody in the room. I know it's early sort of European and US time, so thanks very much for joining us. Great to still have you all on board as loyal community members, and we appreciate it. And we are.
Thanks for sticking around and staying by our side.
we believe that we've got a good year ahead. Certainly, without a doubt, last year was slow. I think it was slow for everybody, despite everybody marching on and still working. And this year we're seeing quite a bit of optimism and a lot of great sentiment. And so we think that there's a lot of opportunity to be had. And rest assured, we're preparing for it 100% in terms of restructuring our portfolio, in terms of trading, in terms of getting operational processes. It was bloody as hell. Yeah,
totally right. That sums it all.
Yeah, it was. So once again, thanks very much. We appreciate it. If you've got any other questions, please feel free to jump into Telegram, ask us. We'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. And we're looking forward to making some money together this year, or some ETH, we should say. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day, night, morning, wherever you are, and we'll catch up again soon.
Take care. See you next quarter.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.